I'm Armenian Armenian.
Hi, I'm Arlene Donabedian.
My name is David Donabedian.
Hi, I'm Meg Donabedian.
I'm Tom Ojakjian.
Lucy Onessian.
I'm Ani Oanessian Ojakjian.
What does it feel like to be an Armenian in America?
A lot of people, or most people, don't know anything about Armenians, so sometimes if I say I'm Armenian, they go, oh, yeah, what's that?
Well, I always felt growing up that I was part of a very unique heritage. I was very proud to be Armenian, and I always felt that I was part of a special, sector of the population.
There, I always felt unique and special, and felt the bond that my parents had with their relatives, and that I developed with my relatives. And then later, as I got older, with other friends, and I love telling Odats, which are non-Armenians, the uniqueness of the bond, and they're very impressed when they hear how Armenians, even that are total strangers, feel about each other.
Now that I meet, they're like, what's Armenian? It's
Oh,
not
yeah,
like, or they want,
Oh, yeah,
like, they think
everyone,
I'm Jewish, or they think
yeah.
I'm, like you
I'm
say
like,
Armenian,
there's like
or
a country called like Armenia. They're like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, there's like a
Yeah.
country.
So,
Like, they have no idea, but
which is upsetting, actually. I feel like they should know better.
It all depends on how much you are aware of what it means to be an Armenian,
yeah.
historically. There's a great scale in terms of that, but I would say, for me, I gradually learned more and more about Armenian history and culture. And so I would say loss enters into the feeling quite a bit, since the Western Armenians were basically destroyed on their ancestral lands, except for the few that escaped.
The Armenian Genocide by the Turks started on April 24th, 1915. According to the New York Times, the roads were strewn with corpses of exiles, and those who survive are doomed to certain death. It is estimated that by 1916, 1.5 million Armenians were killed. So I asked my family, how has the Armenian Genocide affected you?
My father escaped, was spared from the massacre because I was a student at American University in Beirut. And my mother, as I said before, some Turk helped her to hide her behind under the wood, and then how she came to Aleppo. Yeah. But my parents didn't talk much about it. They tried to spare us from the agony. But what made me hate the Turks, and it makes it worse since they don't admit the genocide. And if they do, maybe things will get better, but the relationship between the Turks and the Armenians till now are not good.
I feel like, growing up, it was something that always kind of lurked, it was definitely a weight that hung, a cloud that hung over us. Especially, our grandparents were directly survivors, so.
I think it's also a bond.
Yes,
it's something
definitely.
that we share, and I think it keeps us closer together because we've all had suffering in our families because of that. My grandfather's brothers were murdered. My father's cousin saw his parents when he was like 5 years old murdered in front of him.
How do you keep Armenian culture alive?
I try and speak Armenian as much as I can with my parents. I expose my children to the language, and by teaching them words that they use in their daily lives. And we have gone to Armenian church churches, and we have Armenian food that we cook.
Well, one thing I've done is I've studied Armenian. I mean, I grew up hearing Western Armenian, but I also made a decision to actually study it formally. And then while going to Armenia, I've been learning more Armenian. I think what I've tried to do is make it a living part of my life as well, by connecting with Armenians in Armenia.
I think Armenians have been really good about keeping their traditions alive, and it's a very rich culture. There's a lot of food, there's a lot of music.
Yeah, music and food.
No, that's right.
Lucy, what was your reaction when you heard your sister had a date, her first ever date with an Armenian?
Well, I thought that was very exciting because you want Armenians to stay together, and everybody else seemed to be failing to actually do so. And that's what you're supposed to do.
My parents, when they were out shopping, they had a code
Oh,
that they
yeah.
would
My
say to
parents did
one
too.
another. If they thought that the people near them understood Armenian, what would you say, 99?
99.
Like they were looking at a price tag, they would say 99.
No, 99.
Yeah,
I was-
99. Yeah.
I was on the
You
subway
see-
once and there were two people standing, holding on to the things it was a really crowded subway and I happened to be sitting, and there was three of them and they were all talking and I don't really understand Armenian, but I knew enough to know it was Armenian, and it was just one of those moments where I was like, should I say, like, I know you're talking Armenian, but I didn't say anything, but it felt like almost like I was invading I couldn't understand them, but I was like, this is so weird, they're right here talking, they have no idea.
But I wish I knew the language. I know it's a beautiful language. It has, 36 characters?
What did
So,
Margaret
yeah.
Mead say, Meg? It was
Yeah.
the most.
Beautiful
Margaret Mead
design.
said it was the I can't remember. It's like the best designed language.
Right,
Huh?
yeah.
It's like the most perfectly
It doesn't
designed
have all the-
language.
Like the crazy idioms in English.
Right.
Or irregular.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Doesn't have gender.
yeah.
It doesn't
No?
have gender.
No
No.
gender.
That makes sense
Women
too.
and men are alike.
Yeah.
No gender.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's progressive.
It's progressive.
yeah.
Yeah, love that.
Because there are so few Armenians living in America, there exists a strong cultural identity among us and a desire to keep that culture alive. Pempa, what's that called?
What?
That.
It's cheeseburger egg.
That's nice, nice.
What's that?